everybody, it's me again, Adam Chapnick with Security Token Academy. Thanks so much for being here. I'm joined today by Amit Ben David of Spice VC. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So you guys are super interesting in the space because you're kind of doing two things at once. But tell us a little bit about what is Spice VC and why does it exist?
Spice VC is an investment fund. It's a VC fund. It's one of the first tokenized funds. We're the first closed-end VC that actually issued a security token. We're the fourth security token ever. And we specialize in security tokens, so we invest in the ecosystem, in the security token ecosystem.
Tremendous. And when you started, was that the idea, or did you kind of stumble onto these tokens and say, oh, we're going to change our focus to do this?
So we originally started a fund, but then very quickly we got excited with the crypto space, and we were looking to do a tokenized fund. But we immediately understood we can't do a utility token because the fund is a security. So we said, how do you do a security token in a world that doesn't have security tokens? So we started building it, and a lot of people told us it couldn't be done, including the lawyers and everybody else pretty much. Over time, it took us a few months to actually build this, and then we launched it, and by the time we launched it, the wind changed. And now everybody's saying security tokens are the future.
Right.
So, good timing.
Yeah, very prescient. So what did it take to figure out from nothing what a security token should be and what it's made of or how it functions? How did you do that?
So the key thing that we went to the lawyer with was, look, we're going to keep all the rules and laws and regulations that apply to a regular security, and we're just going to tokenize it, and that's it. So nothing to do with crypto, nothing to do with Bitcoin or anything like that. We're just replacing a piece of paper with a token. But if we can abide with all other rules and regulations, we're happy. And then we started sitting with them and removing roadblocks after roadblock in doing that. And we actually had to do it country by country as well.
Right.
Because the rules are different in each country.
Oh my Lord. So in your offering, it was compliant globally?
Yes, pretty much.
Wow. Okay. So I can't even imagine what kind of nonsense what you had to go through to make that happen. That must have been a lot of legal meetings. All right, you did it. And how much did you raise that way?
So we did a first closing about a month ago.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Fresh.
Yes, fresh. We issued about 13 million tokens, something like that.
Okay.
And what we're doing now is, the reason we issued the tokens was, first of all, to show that there's a security token live. We're going to start trading the security tokens in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We just announced this morning we're probably going to be the first security token ever to be traded on a regulated platform, so another first for us.
Right.
And we wanted to be in the market and start investing. So we already made 4 investments, and we're kind of running. And in parallel, we're doing our second closing as well.
Amazing. Okay, now you sort of have is it a sister company? Is it you guys, how would you describe what Securitize is?
I would say that we're like a proud parent.
Okay, child company.
Because what happened was that when we started doing Spice, there was no platform for security tokens. So we had to build one.
Right.
So I called my friend and CTO in one of my previous companies, said come over, and we started working on it, and we just built one together with the rest of the team in Spice, and later what became Securitize. And then about 3 months ago, we separated it into a separate company, which is a portfolio company of Spice, but a completely different company called Securitize, and Securitize is doing extremely well.
Yeah, so now Securitize, is it taking what you learned to build your own token and making it available to someone, let's say like me, who wants to do it from soup to nuts? Is that the idea?
Exactly. It's one of those things, when my partner Carlos released a blog post saying, we built this platform and these are the screens, this is what it looks like, people started calling us and saying, can we use this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so we started out as a separate company. And I think this is our first company in the ecosystem. But I think the whole ecosystem for security token is going to grow and explode over the next year. So for us, first investment for a fund to be a company that's doing as well as Securitize, it's very good for us because it makes it easier for us to show the value
and raise the whole story,
and raise our next round as well.
Yeah. Now, how do they work? Do they work together? Do you take a company and run them through Securitize so that you can invest in them, or is that?
They're separate, but it helps because we're an ecosystem.
Yeah.
I would put it this way: if we invest in another platform company, let's say we invest in a in an exchange or a trading platform, then Securitize will have a lot of companies coming out of Securitize into that. If we invest in a let's say an information company that provides information evaluations about those. If we invest in, we just made an investment in Saga, which is a stable coin, because we think stable coin is a very important infrastructure.
Yes.
Once we made this investment, and once Saga launches, a lot of the projects that come out of Securitize will need a stable token, and we'll be able to connect them.
How great. Do you guys have any other vision in terms of what components of the ecosystem are missing that you're looking to flesh out?
Well, the entire ecosystem. I would put it this way.
Ecosystem.
I would put it this way: from the bottom, from protocols, initial issuance, money raising, banking, custodians, information services,
secondary, whole life cycle. Yeah.
The whole life cycle. Any serious company in the field will be oversubscribed by the end of the year.
Wow.
At the level that Securitize is oversubscribed now.
Amazing. And what is that level? How is that looking?
Hundreds of companies in the pipeline looking to tokenize.
Tremendous. Fantastic. So what's your story? For those who haven't met you before, how did you end up in the VC world at all?
So I'm an entrepreneur. I've started 5 companies. I did spend about 2 years in a VC fund called Magma from Israel, about 18 years ago or something like that. But I felt it was too early for me. I went back to the field, did a few more companies, and now I'm back into the VC investment space.
What spaces were your companies?
My last more kind of big company was a company called Everything Me. We were part of a project called Firefox OS. And Firefox OS tried to do an HTML5 based operating system for mobile phones. And in there, I met Carlos Domingo, which was leading the project for Telefonica, who is now my partner and CEO of Securitize. Yeah. We met Brendan Ike, inventor of JavaScript, who is now an advisor to Spice, and he did the original, one of the first utility token with Brave.
Okay.
So he's an advisor as well. So we're all kind of friends from then.
Fantastic. Wow, it's quite a team. So, okay, we love to talk about predictions here at Security Token Academy. Obviously, you're a believer more than most. You have all your money, you're like money where your mouth is. So I think I know the answer, but where do you think the security token world will be, let's say, a year from now versus what we've been calling ICOs? Is it all going to be STOs or ICO 2.0, or is it going to be half and half, or what do you think is going to be?
I think it's hard to see right now for people who are not inside, but what I'm seeing from the inside is I'm seeing a massive wave of companies that want to tokenize, and with a good reason. There's liquidity and there's all sorts of reasons to go into the securities on, ownership on the blockchain. Makes a ton of sense. So what I'm predicting, if you will, is that in the next few months you'll start seeing more exchanges, or they're not exchanges exactly, trading platforms launching. Initially there's going to be more trading platforms than tokens. And then the tokens will start arriving, 20 tokens first, then about 100 tokens. And then the institutional investors are going to start putting money into tokens because they're going to be custodians, and we're already working with a custodian. Once custodians are in, the institutional investors will come in, and then we'll start to see an avalanche. And then what I call the big migration will start. The big migration is not about new companies issuing new tokens, it's about existing companies taking their existing assets and moving them to a token so they can be traded. Yeah. And once this migration starts happening,
forget about it.
That's when it started.
In New York.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you mentioned some of the. I'm going to back up a little bit. You mentioned you listed that there are a lot of benefits to inherent to security tokens. You said there's liquidity and a lot of other things. Can you just sort of quickly list some of those things for the people who are just starting to understand this? What makes security tokens so great?
So I'll tell you a story. When I used to start a company, right, I would take my partners, we'll go to the lawyer, we all sign a contract. Right. And then we bring in an investor, they will sign a contract. And and this mountain of contracts become our asset, the company, which is completely illiquid and very hard to move around. If you replace all that with one document, which is the memorandum, and anybody who holds a token has the rights to whatever the memorandum says, this becomes a much more liquid instrument. Yeah. So liquidity is the first thing, but it's not even the most important thing. What I'm seeing is new business models coming. because and we weren't expecting this. We thought everything would be equity, but we're now starting to see a lot of security tokens that actually do debt and revenue share. So if you have a company that's very profitable or predicted to be very profitable, instead of giving security tokens for equity, you can bring security tokens for a share of your revenues. And that's something we're starting to see a lot. So there'll be different business models coming out as well. And I would say inclusivity is a big thing, because in many assets, because these assets are illiquid, there are only very few people can benefit from them. Only very few people can invest in them. And what we've seen with Spice is a lot of people came in. I would say the accredited investor out there today have been locked out of most asset classes.
Yeah.
And this is going to open the field for everybody.
Very exciting. So you guys had to tackle the global compliance like jungle. I can't even imagine what that was like. What do you see as the difference, or if there is one, in terms of the appetite or understanding or adoption of security tokens overseas versus here? Is it more popular, less popular? Are there pockets of understanding?
I would say that it's in the US, what worked for us was the SEC saying that everything is a security token.
Right.
So everything is a security token. We're the only shop in town.
Yes.
So it was very good. So I think America is advancing the security token offering, while in other countries still people are trying to do utility tokens where they shouldn't. And I think the regulators in other countries will come on board as well. We're seeing Switzerland coming up with a very clear distinction of what is a utility and what is not a utility. But a lot of the activity on security tokens is now in the US.
Is it something that foreign, what would have been just ICOs, where they might think twice and say, well, if I want to play in the US, I might need to be compliant, and so maybe I'll do this security token thing and then it'll work everywhere?
Yes.
Do you think people are going to do that?
The funny thing is that all the companies doing security tokens are doing it for US trading, but actually it's easier for people to invest and to trade from outside the US because the laws are not as restrictive. So in the UK, if you have an offering that's, you can bring qualified investor, which is equivalent to accredited. You're not limited in the number. You can do up to 150 non-accredited per country. So there are more and different rules that you can use.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so looking into your crystal ball one more time, where do you think you guys are going to be at Spice within, let's say, 3 years?
I want to be in a position where I can say Spice invested in multiple unicorns. That's the place for a fund to be in.
Amen.
And I think that we have Securitize, which is looking great. We have other companies as well that we're investing in. We're working on taking Crowdcube, which is Europe's largest equity crowdfunding. So we're working with them on a project to tokenize their entire platform, basically. It's very exciting. So we want to be in a position where we invested early and understood early this market is going to explode, and be in a position where we say, well, we put our money where our mouth was, and it worked out.
Amen. Well, from your lips to God's ears, as they say, and we at the Security Token Academy are totally rooting for you. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you.